line by line, weapons hurled across the hall, swords, axes, spears, all aimed at one god, and every single one bounces off harmlessly. The gods are laughing. They've made their favorite son invulnerable. Then someone hands a blind god a sprig of mistletoe, and paradise bleeds. This is the case that doomed the hall. A mother tried to bind fate itself with oaths. She went to every living thing, every element, every force in the 9 worlds, and made them swear never to harm her son. She thought she was weaving a shield. What she actually did was carve a single point of failure into the armor of heaven. And when that failure was found, when that one overlooked thing was placed in the right hands, it didn't just kill a god. It set in motion the chain that would drag every hall in Asgard into ash. In Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda, in Skaldskaparmal, we're told that Baldur the Beautiful began having dreams. Dark dreams, dreams of his own death. Not vague omens, but the kind of visions that sit in your chest like a stone, and when a god dreams of dying, the other gods listen. Frigg loved her son the way mountains love their roots. Baldur was light itself, beloved by all, the kind of presence that made every feast warmer, every oath more sacred. So when he spoke of death, Frigg moved. She traveled. To fire, to water, to iron and stone and wood and beast, to sickness and poison, to everything that could conceivably harm. And she extracted oaths, binding words spoken in the language that holds the worlds together. Each thing swore it would never harm Baldur, and it worked. The Aesir tested it the way gods test all new magic. Violently, they made a game of it. They gathered in the hall, and one by one they hurled weapons at Baldur. Stones cracked against his skin and fell away. Blades kissed his throat and refused to bite. Spears turned in the air. He stood there untouched, laughing with them, invulnerable, a living monument to a mother's will. It became a ritual. A proof. Every gathering, they'd throw something new at him just to watch it fail. This wasn't cruelty. This was celebration. They had done the impossible. They had chained death. But oaths are like nets. The tighter you weave them, the more you rely on every thread holding. And Frigg had missed one thread. Mistletoe, a soft thing, a parasite that grows on stronger trees. Too young, Frigg thought. Too harmless. Not worth the trouble of bending down to make it swear. So she passed it by. Loki noticed. Loki always noticed. While the other gods laughed and threw axes, Loki watched. He saw the pattern, the perfection. And perfection to him was an insult, a dare. So he went looking. He found Frigg. Shaped his words carefully. Asked her, innocent as snow, whether truly all things had sworn the oath. And Frigg, proud of her work, told him, all things, except one small growth, west of Valhalla, mistletoe, too young to matter. Loki left without another word. He found the mistletoe, cut it, shaped it, not into a spear, just a sharpened twig, barely a weapon. Then he returned to the hall, where the game was still going, where gods were still laughing, still throwing iron at the unkillable, and there stood Höder, Baldur's brother, blind, standing apart from the crowd, unable to join the game because he couldn't see the target. Loki approached him. "Why do you not honor your brother?" Höder's voice was quiet. "I have no weapon, and I cannot see where he stands." Loki's hand was already moving. "I will guide your hand. I will provide the weapon. You should not be left out of honoring him." He placed the mistletoe dart in Höder's palm, guided his arm back, pointed it toward the light, toward the laughter, toward Baldur standing radiant in the center of the hall. Höder threw. The dart flew true. It struck Baldur in the chest, and where every other weapon had failed, this one bit deep. Baldur fell. No cry, no grand last words. He just fell. and the laughter died with him. The silence in that hall was the sound of the world cracking. The Aesir stood frozen. Hörder's hand was still extended, empty, trembling. He couldn't see what he'd done, but he could hear the absence where his brother's breathing had been. Frigg's scream was not loud. It didn't need to be. Odin sat in his high seat and said nothing. He already knew. He'd always known. That's the burden of wisdom. You see it coming and you're powerless to turn it aside. Thor's voice cut through the silence like a blade. Who gave him the weapon? But Loki was already gone. They couldn't accept it. Death was for mortals, for the short-lived, not for gods, not for Baldur. So they sent Hermodr on Odin's horse to the gates of Hel's realm to bargain for his return, and Hel, the half-dead goddess of the dishonored dead, gave them a condition. If all things weep for Baldur, he may return. But if even one refuses, he stays. The Aesir sent word across all worlds. Weep for Baldur, command, plea, prayer, and everything wept, gods and men. Stones wept water, trees wept sap, iron wept rust. The whole aching universe mourned him, except one, a giantess in a cave. Thuk, she called herself. When the messengers came to her and begged her to weep so Baldur might live, she refused. Let Hel keep what she has. The sources hint, though they don't shout, that Thok was Loki in another skin. One refusal. That's all it took. Baldur remained in Hel's cold halls. The bright god would not return until after the fire, after Ragnarök, after the end of everything. Frigg had tried to save her son by binding all things to an oath. But protection, taken to its absolute limit, creates blindness. The tighter you weave the net, the more catastrophic the single missed thread becomes. She thought she was building a fortress. What she built was a target, a perfect system with one fatal flaw, and Loki found it the way water finds a crack. This wasn't just a murder. It was proof. Proof that the gods were not untouchable, that oaths could be outmaneuvered, that fate, no matter how many precautions you took, would have its way. Baldur's death was the moment the gods learned they were mortal in all the ways that mattered. And Loki? He had done what Loki always did. He had revealed the truth beneath the surface. The Aesir had pretended they could cheat death. Loki showed them the bill. If you found this tale worth hearing, if it struck something true in you, then like this video and share it with those who hunger for the old stories, told unflinching. Join the membership, become part of the inner circle. Keep this fire burning. Support the saga so these words don't fade into silence like so many others have. The gods were furious. And they didn't just bind Loki, they built a punishment so cruel the earth itself would tremble when he finally broke free.